Hey guys, I'm Dan.
And I'm Bob.
I'm Justin.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we're reviewing not Dune Imperium. We've already reviewed Dune Imperium. Link up there. Today we're reviewing the expansion for Dune Imperium called Rise of Ix. So this adds quite a bit to the game. Bob, it's your copy. Do you want to kind of go over what this changes and adds?
Yeah, it gives you this little board here that you're going to overlay the normal Landstrad Council, and you're going to get rid of these other, I think it's Chom pronounced that way.
Right, yeah.
And it's going to give you new abilities. The High Council stays the same. The Mentat's going to stay the same. It does change up from Rally the Troops to just getting your Sword Master. And it's going to add these shipping abilities here. So it adds a new icon, and whenever you see that icon, it's going to give you either a move up this track, or you can recall your ships to gain all the resources that you are at and below. So if you get it twice, you can move up once and then recall it as your ability. So that's a really cool, unique mechanism that they incorporated. And it's also going to include these. What would you call these? Like tech?
Yeah,
techs,
they call them
basically?
techs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with these techs, you're going to use something to spend your spice on. And so by coming to these locations and by doing the furthest one out here, you'll be able to spend the spice associated with it to purchase those techs to use their abilities. And one of the other nice things is it gives you like a little secondary ability here to where if you can't afford it yet, you can just keep adding cubes to this location. And then when you take that spot, you can just return those cubes for like a discount.
Right, those I believe are called ambassadors.
Ambassadors?
You are sending out ambassadors who are making relations, making your items cheaper for you.
And then like learning things for you. That also introduces this one here, which is the Dreadnought, which is a new piece. New wooden piece that it gives you, and the dreadnoughts will then go to your garrison and can be sent into the conflict. And they're worth 3 strength typically, but there is factions that make them worth 4. And the other cool thing about them is they don't die. Once you've got them, you can either send them to control territories, or you can just let it go back to your garrison to be redeployed the following turn. Other than that, I mean, obviously I added some new conflict cards, some new intrigue cards, and a few new cards to the main deck.
Quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few.
Oh, and a new starter
Yes,
hand.
and if you play the advanced version, you pull out one of the old basic cards, and it gives you a new one, which is super helpful and interesting as well.
Yeah, it has a new epic mode, I believe is what it calls it. And it's really interesting because when we first read it, it said this will cause the game to be longer and more intense. And we were like, I don't think this is a learning game. Maybe not. Let's do a long game, right? Let's not do that. And then I read everything that it changed. And Bob and I, who've both played this game a bunch, Justin's played it too, but not as much as us, right?
Yeah.
We looked at each other and we were like, how does this elongate the game?
Yeah,
it seems like it makes
start
it shorter.
with more cards and more troops. And let's do that.
Yeah, the only thing that
acceleration.
elongates the game is it changes it from a 10-point cutoff to a 12.
Correct.
But just keep that 10 if you want, and then you just have a faster start, honestly, which I think is good.
Yeah.
That's a cool change.
I enjoyed that.
I
think we each played new
as a matter of fact,
houses too, right? Because it includes, I think it was 4 new houses, and the abilities are super neat. Like the one that I played, let me put these little Snoop trackers on all the different tracks, and then I was able to go down on some and up on others whenever I use my signet ring, because they all have different signet ring abilities.
Right,
And,
we're not going to go over all these, but I'll hold all the new ones up temporarily so that if you've known the game, you can pause and you can read their abilities, because like Bob said, these abilities are actually pretty interesting.
Pretty good, yeah.
Even though they do kind of rely on the new mechanics to be sure.
Usually, yeah. But yeah, so
Hope that's legible.
Do you mind if I kind of like my ability? So what's really cool, he just has this passive ability where the Dreadnought, which is this thing right over here, is instead of 3, it is 4 strength in combat. In addition, whenever I play the signet ring, I am able to either purchase one of these, which they cost they cost a spice, or what I can do is put a cube. Okay, there we go. Into the ambassador over here. So then whenever I do make that action of purchasing a tech, I can do it cheaper. So,
Right, you were the tech guy.
Yeah.
Sure.
You were the tech
Can you
guy.
hand me mine while Bob goes over his?
Sure.
So mine at the start of the game, I put these little Snoop tokens next to where all the victory points are. And then whenever I played my signet ring, I could lower any one to raise any other. So it really kind of helps you manipulate those tracks to snag points and gain benefits. And plus, once you take these off of here, you're going to cover from the top down, and you're going to get bonuses. You're going to get free spice. You'll gain that faction's bonus that they give you, or you gain an extra influence, or you're going to gain both, depending on which one you cover up.
Yeah, this one is by far the most interesting to me in the game. A little closer for you there, just in case it doesn't focus right in post. This one really takes some future planning. I like that a lot. It's not going to be my favorite one for sure. I don't want to always be thinking that hard. But as far as the style of gameplay it is, that one's the most interesting to me. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and I love doing those tracks too. So,
exactly. Kinda fit.
Yeah, that's why you won.
I did too.
And mine was pretty basic right here. Basically, everyone starts the game with 1 water. I started the game with no water.
He was thirsty the whole
I'm thirsty
time.
all the time. But whenever I gained Solari, I gained an extra one. So I was rich the whole game,
He
which
had
did
tons of
pan
money.
out. I was
Yes.
rich the whole game. And then I can spend that Solari with my signet ring to get all 3 of these benefits: going up on a track, gaining a cube to your garrison, and gaining a spice. And I was able to take advantage of that quite a bit. It did work out well. But yes, we have gone over everything, I believe, that the
That
game
was
has
added.
changed now. So Bob,
Yes.
you've played this game quite a bit. I believe you've even played it more than me, and I feel like
Okay.
I've played this game a lot. How did you feel like this edited your experience playing the game?
I really enjoyed it. I think it definitely enhanced the game for me. Some of the cards they give you, like when you take your agent turn and you're putting people places, yes, there's one of the base characters that lets you ignore sending somebody out at certain spots. But there's cards in here now that are just normal cards that say, yeah, you can go there anyway, even if it's blocked by. There's a new icon.
It's right here, actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
you
so
got
this
one?
top
Cool.
one, yeah.
Nice.
So
yeah,
this
it's got
one
that
right
little
there.
it's got half an agent on there, and so if you have that icon on there, then you can't be blocked. You can go to that location anyway, and like I really enjoy that. I like the text. I took full advantage of that shipping stuff. Like I was on that at the beginning.
I was
and
trying.
I know, like, but man, I really took full advantage of that, and that really helped out a lot. I think that was a great thing. Like, it was a little more difficult to get money until I started like doing more of this to get the 8 there to figure out how to get my guy because the other location is gone. But like I said, like I really enjoyed it. I don't think I'll ever play without the expansion, which is something I kind of like to say. Because sometimes some games like, oh yeah, that expansion's fun, might not play it all the time when I play the game.
Or especially not for a teaching game and stuff, and
Sure.
blah blah blah. And
Sure.
I mean, this one definitely ups the complexity, but I would still probably include it in a teaching game.
Yeah.
Okay, Justin, how did it edit your experience?
Sure. Before I get into that, do you mind if I share one detail that I
course.
thought was hilarious? So while we were playing,
How dare you?
if you noticed, we got this big old blob.
I was going to talk about that when it came.
You were
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No,
Okay,
it's
I'll let
fine.
you. No, I'll let you do it then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I guess for me, I've only played this game 2 times before, and I immediately enjoyed it because I played it with you at.
You
your
could just end the
place.
sentence there. I immediately enjoyed it because I played it with you.
Yes,
That's
It does not check out.
but I really love it. I love the combat component or mechanic to it. I love the track going here. I really like it. And so then I played it a second time, and it further, I was like, oh, I'm like trying to get my wife to play it one time too. And then when we played it here today, I thought this just drastically improved it with the now, if you notice, spice, because these tech actually cost spice. So in the other game, or the base game, you just basically
Sell it for money.
accumulate and sell it for money. And
Yeah.
the last time I played it, I got to a point where I had like over 30 Solari, and I already had everything that I could get with Solari. So I'm like, now what do I do? I was just super wealthy, and there was nothing I could do with it. And even in the game, I had quite a bit of spice too. But I just I was trying to get here, but I at that time I didn't have enough cards to
Right.
go here.
Yeah.
So it just really limited me. Whereas this really
a nice
adds
option.
more options to the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like how they kept the iconography the same too. So like, they kept this,
Yeah,
it
the
looks just like
hexagon.
a little hexagon. So that okay, yeah, it's 3 hexagons, and the bits are
Hexagons are the bestagons.
are they?
Yeah. That's an internet thing. Okay, so Justin just nailed it on the head for me. I know we all feel this way, but you just said it. By far, I think the biggest positive to me on this, and it's all positive, the biggest positive for me for this is there's something to spend your spice on now.
Yeah.
Like that is huge.
Yeah.
That was a complaint for me in the base game that the spices just kind of, well, it breaks ties at the end of the game, and that's nice. And you can turn it into
Couple of
money.
cards that
yeah, and of
use it.
course, yeah, there are intrigue cards that say like turn
Sure.
into spice. Yeah, but that's minuscule. And now having a thing that is like a genuine like I can't think of the word right now, like economy
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
right? That you are managing and trying to
A marketplace
control this.
for
yeah,
those,
market.
yeah.
The fantastic system. This is so good. Even if like I only got like 2 techs in the game, you had one,
No,
you
I
had
had
2,
I had 2.
and
Yeah.
you
None.
and he had none. like
you
even
won.
though that happened.
Yeah. No, I had the one. I had the one that gave me the extra buy.
Right.
yeah, buy
okay.
every
So even though
turn,
we only
yeah.
had 5 by the end of the game, just fantastic. Huge benefit here.
No, remember I bought the other one that had trash intrigue
Oh,
cards.
that's right,
'Cause
you
I got like
trashed
8
it.
intrigue cards. I was like, yeah, I'll take that one
Well,
that lets me get rid of all my good bad ones.
Regardless, right? I'm just saying
Sure,
it's
sure,
not
sure.
like you're gonna have like 10 or something, but
Right.
it
Just
just
those
it's
few,
still
it's
has
something to
it
do.
has a big impact on the game. The dreadnoughts are really fun, tiny addition. That's like a micro expansion thing they threw in, and I think it's a great addition. As Justin was about to talk about, if you can jump in, whatever you were gonna
No.
say, because all I was gonna say was yes, this is how the game ended. This is every unit I could have had in the fight except for my other dreadnought, and I was trying.
He was trying.
I was trying to get that second dreadnought in there.
He probably had it like that. So this is how many rounds we played.
Yeah. like
So
8
he probably
rounds.
had it full for the last probably
3,
6.
4
I don't think it was
rounds.
6. I
No,
think it was
maybe
like 4. I don't know.
4 or 5
5.
rounds.
So I had a problem of being very good at amassing an army and having no way of transporting them to the planet,
Yeah.
and it became a real problem.
funny.
But yes,
Well, problem for you.
You're right. If I could have gotten, I was so good at accumulating an army. I genuinely think if I could just get them to the planet, I stood a good chance of winning. But I was out of the last 4 or 5 combats. I couldn't get in it. It was terrible.
I also wouldn't mind explaining this card, which I ended up taking this tech, which I thought was super nice. One thing, the first time that I played, I just based off of how the deck
cards came out.
I didn't really develop many cards that had faction
Right.
placements.
Travel to the space place.
So I remember my first time playing, I just didn't go up here. I think I did Fremen like a little bit, like I got it up to here, but everything else I barely got. And so this specific one I thought was really neat for people who like didn't really build a deck that had those. What this one does, if you have 1 or less influence on your factions, you get at the end of the game 1 victory point for
Right.
each one. So it's basically
You could
like
ignore those tracks and
you
not
can
have to
just
worry about
ignore
it.
it, and you don't have to go all the way up to just to the second
Right.
one.
They literally
Yeah.
just that tech just makes up for any track you didn't make it up.
exactly.
That's nice. That's a nice little prize.
Consolation prize.
Yeah, consolation prize. There you go. But yeah, we talked about pretty much everything. Obviously, we cannot go over every card that has changed the game and everything, but we
Right.
went over all the big new mechanics. I guess people might be interested. Do you have your starter deck on what the new starter card is? That might
I got it
interest
right here.
people. Thank you.
Yep, Control the spice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So here you go. If you're looking for the new card, it is just a yellow triangle card, and this says pay a spice to trash a card in game of cube, and then during the reveal phase, gain 1 money. I think it's called influence in this game or something, and 1 spice. So that's the new card. It if you put this in the game, again, it says only put this in the game if you're playing epic mode. But honestly, again, just always play epic mode, and if
Yeah.
you're worried about it taking a long time, just play to 10 points instead of 12. I liked everything the epic mode changed. I really did.
Yep.
And this is the card that it
You would pull
replaces.
And it replaces
Yeah.
one of your Dune the Desert planets. Yes. So we are going to rate this game on a scale from 1 to 10. Justin, can you explain that a little bit better?
1 to 10.
I just wanted to throw.
What?
Justin's never had to explain our rating
Yeah.
system before. I just wanted to throw that at him and tease him. Bob, go ahead and explain it for us, will you?
Sure. So we're all going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Then we're going to take those scores, we're going to average them together, and that's going to be the score that you see on BGG and all the social medias. That's the score the board game rundown gave it, as opposed to my score or Dan's score, because you might not agree with one or the other of us on games.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think for this review, we're going to go in order of who I believe has played it the most and see how that goes up. So, Justin, I think out of 3 of us, you've played it the least, but you have played it a few times. So, any final thoughts on how would you rate the expansion? Again, not the game. We have a different thing for that. But how would you rate this expansion? And do you think it would impact your rating of the game? How about that?
Well, I really believe this is probably one of my favorite games. So the expansion, I think, just adds greatness to it even more. So for me, I'm gonna give this like a 9.
The expansion?
Yeah, the
Okay.
expansion. Yeah.
Okay. Me next. I believe Bob has played more than me, so I will go next. I think I gave Dune Imperium around an 8.5 or something. I think that's just going off of memory, which for me is completely unreliable. But I think I gave it somewhere around there. This expansion would at least bump it up half a point. If you're part of our Discord, if you're not linked in the description, but if you're part of our Discord, while we were playing, I actually sent out a picture, and I said a sentence after that said, "Finally, we're getting to play Rise of Ix." This expansion improves everything it touches, and I stand by that. Everything that this expansion adds is a good, positive change that I don't know if I'll play without. Fantastic expansion.
Love that.
And honestly, as far as expansions go, I think I'm giving it a 9.5. I want to give it a 10, but I just feel like it's unlikely this is a perfect expansion. There's probably some things they could have done better, right? Like, as far as expansions go, it is extremely close, though. It improves on everything. It's simple to learn if you know the base game, right?
Yep.
It'll use the same iconography, super simple. It gives you everything you need to add, like, the new pieces that you need to do everything like that. They were small pieces of punchboard. Like, it didn't take a long time to set up or anything like that. The whole creating a new high council over the old one was a little weird at first because it just
Yeah.
didn't feel necessary, but I guess I get what they're trying to do. Like, we kind of talked about, they're getting rid of the ways you gain cubes on the baseboard and the way you gain money on the baseboard because they're giving you ways to get cubes and money over here. So they're trying to focus your attention, I think. And, I get that. It just feels slightly unnecessary.
Yeah, it could have been like a separate like. Board.
Yeah, like if this was just attached to this instead and kind of did like the talisman thing where it just kind of goes on the corner of the board.
Sure.
Seems like that would have been
Would've been
fine. But again, not a complaint, just like a, So yeah, that's me. I'm giving this expansion 9.5. And if you have this game, go out and buy Rise of Ix. I can't recommend it higher.
Yeah.
Yep. I pretty much agree with everything Dan said. Everything that the
But not you.
expansion. No. Take his opinion right out the window. Everything that the expansion touches, it made better. Like there wasn't anything that the expansion came out and I was like, okay, I probably could have done without that. Like I thoroughly enjoyed the expansion. I rated the main game a 9.
Oh, nice. Maybe I did rate it higher than 8.5 then.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And like I feel like the expansion takes that to a 9.5. So I was gonna give it a 9, right? Because it's pretty good. But since it brings the base game to a 9.5, I feel like I should give the expansion
Okay.
a 9.5
I'll take
because
it.
like
Because that makes me right.
Oh, so like an 8? No, so I think I have to give it the 9.5 because it takes the game from a 9 to a 9.5. It's a great game. Like I think that makes me like it almost. Because it's compared to Arnak a lot. So I'm
Right,
trying
it
to think.
is, yeah.
I've recently played the expansion to Arnak, and I really enjoyed that also. But this one might eke that out a little bit now.
Oh,
Like,
right,
It kind of
just
depends
'cause
if I'm in
the
the mood for the
expansion.
conflict or if
Yeah.
I'm in the mood for the science track.
And for
So kind of
sure,
those
some
two
people don't like that
things.
those games are compared. I completely think they deserve to be compared, but they are different for sure. This one is way more combat-y and everything, and way more tight, as in player versus player. Like in Arnak, you just kind of get in each other's ways, and in
Right.
this game, you are purposely getting in each other's ways, and you are actively fighting each other, right? And
Yeah.
so it's a different feeling, but I totally think they deserve being compared. Apples to oranges. Why can't fruits be compared?
Well, it's like comparing like a Red Delicious apple and a Fuji apple.
Right.
They're both good.
Yeah,
but
they're both
one
good.
is clearly better.
So
I just remembered something. One thing I did mention, which I guess in the base game, technically, really, the only way to accumulate money
Right.
is here. Whereas with the expansion, they just change it with this. But granted, you do get 1 here.
Right.
But here, you only accumulate 8. Whereas this one, you can
Technically
you
get
can
up to 12
accumulate
if you've got
up
enough.
to 12.
Yeah.
But
right.
so it is kind of like a one kind of downside, but at the same time, there are also other ways to accumulate money too.
Sure.
So
I also
that-
think it probably evens itself out in the end because the only way to really get money, again, of course, there's multiple ways, but the main way to get Solari seems to be here,
Yep.
which means you need to take
There
this
and there.
action twice, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, the same location from before, but for that, you have to have 4 spice and have the card that lets you
Sure.
go there. But so you have to take this action twice, which is either here or here twice, right? So you think about that, and it's like, man, that's kind of limiting, especially if someone else goes there and blah, blah, blah. But then if you look at this, so you have to go here, which someone could stop you, just like the other one. Then you have to have enough spice to turn in, and it takes multiple actions to get that spice, right? Unless someone just lets this build like crazy, like we
Like-
were doing.
Yeah.
But usually, right, like it's going to, so I think in the end it probably
Probably
evens
balance it out.
Yeah.
I think this game just felt more limiting because Bob was really focusing that,
Yeah.
and because my character gave me a bunch of money.
Right.
So I think that you just felt like you had less money.
That's
compared.
probably
that
yeah,
could have been
that's
part of it.
definitely accurate.
So Bob,
Yeah, so if you take all of our scores and you average them together, 9.3.
9.3. Yeah, a 9.3. I will take it. This is a fantastic expansion. It
Yeah,
definitely
worth
deserved
it.
a 9 or above, and I'm glad we settled on a 9.3. That's pretty good. So,
Yeah.
guys, what do you think of the Rise of Ix expansion? If
Mm-hmm.
you've played it, let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't played it,
Do it.
yeah, definitely,
Like
definitely. Like,
Palpatine.
if you haven't played the expansion,
it,
I mean, and
do
you have the
it.
game, definitely, definitely buy it. It's worth every penny. And tell us in the comments that you're going to do it,
Yeah.
because we want you to. But anyway, guys, yeah, that's everything we have to say. No final thoughts, right? You guys
No,
are all
yeah, I think
good.
it's
We've
said-
covered
it's all been
everything.
said.
So, I've been Dan.
I've been Bob.
And I'm Justin.
And this has been Dune Imperium's expansion, Rise of Ix, from the Board Game Rundown. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.